The Patriots go out to San Francisco, and the Niners kind of just make quick work of them. This is the Locked On Sports Boston Patriots POSTCAST.
You are Locked On Patriots POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports Boston, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome into another edition of the Locked On Sports Boston Patriots POSTCAST, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. I am your host, Cam Stewart. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime, and the Patriots drop another one. That's 3 in a row. Make it 1-3 on the season. This one 30-13 to the San Francisco 49ers, and one that I don't think a lot of Patriots fans were expecting to win. And the Niners, they kind of took care of business early and kept it that way. The Patriots become really the first team that has made San Francisco look like the defending NFC champs this year. Both teams coming in pretty banged up. We can talk about that injury situation a little bit later on in the show, but it was kind of the same old for the Patriots. I mean, once they fell down, it was 6-0. They were lucky to keep it at just 6 after 2 field goals early on in the game. Fred Warner interception. At that point, the pick 6, 13-0. This Patriots offense just doesn't have much of a chance to come back. And look, I've stood up for Jacoby Brissett a few times. I still will in terms of what he's doing, but it's not rocket science to tell you this is not how an NFL offense can operate. Once again, well under 200 yards, but he does break the 150-yard passing, which is good. 19-32 for 168. A touchdown, a pick. The Patriots turn the ball over 3 times in this one, and they lose by 3 scores. It's not as apples to apples as that is, but he can't turn the ball over 3 times, not against San Francisco. And honestly, it could have been a few more times. But I had this thought towards the end of the game of what the Patriots have been getting out of quarterback. And to be honest with you guys, I don't know that it's going to be much better with Drake May. I know that there are a lot of people who just want to see what he can do, and I understand that. Of course, I want to see that too. But in terms of the production that you're going to get from quarterback, it's not going to be much better with Drake May than it is with Jacoby Brissett. And I was thinking at the end of the game, is there any other team in the league that just knows they can't get a good performance out of their quarterback? Like, there's no shot this year that they're going to get a good game from their quarterback or their offense. Like, I don't know if the Patriots are going to score 30 points at any point this year. And if it is, maybe someone's given it up in garbage time and they've scored 47. I don't know. But I think the only other team in the league right now that can have that mindset is probably Miami, the team the Patriots are playing next week, because of injuries. They don't have a quarterback that is going to win any kind of game for them. But with how impatient teams are at that position in the NFL now, I don't think there's another team other than those two that just know they can't get anything out of the quarterback. Maybe Tennessee. Maybe the Giants, but even then, like, Drew Lock's not that bad. Probably better than Daniel Jones from some of the games we saw with Seattle last year. In fact, he had some game-winning drives. The Patriots are just not going to have that at all this year, at all. And once again, it's a game where they give up 400 yards. And what's funny is because of that kneel down that the 49ers had, they go down to 431 total yards. The Patriots at 216, which means they avoid, for the second straight week, what would have been being doubled up in total yardage. If they had just ran a play instead of kneeing it in victory formation, they would have got past 432, which means they would have doubled up the Patriots. The Niners ran 2 less plays, and they essentially doubled up the Patriots in total yards. And once again, we look at that defense, which is supposed to be the hallmark of this team, and you're giving up over 7 yards a play. the Niners did obviously double up the Patriots and a little bit more in yards per play in this one. So as bad as the offense is, we know what they are. It's a step back from this defense from week one. That is what has surprised me. And it obviously goes to show that that week one victory over Cincinnati is a fluke. I mean, we knew it was kind of fluky anyway, right? Like we knew the Patriots weren't going to be very good, but it is a complete fluke. The Bengals suck, and the Patriots sucked a little bit less that day. But what really stings about this Patriots season, and I'm sure this is far from the last time I'll say this, but you knew today was not going to be good coming in, right? You knew they weren't going to beat San Francisco. Maybe they would have Deebo Samuel and George Kittle out. They didn't. They both played. They both were effective. But even after all that, you're like, man, it still looks worse than it probably should be. As bad as this team is, and as big a mismatch as this was, it was still like, did it have to be that bad? And I look at the Patriots' one touchdown, and it was that 4th and 1. It was 4th and 1, and they do kind of a bootleg tight end sneak to Austin Hooper, and you're like, that is such an easy play. It's such an easy play. Like, why can't there be more of that? Like, was that so hard? It was such an easy little rollout, complete layup play, and yet this Patriots offense can't have more of that. Obviously, the highlight or the low light and things that we were highlighting in the last 2 weeks was the wide receiver play, and that the Patriots just refused to complete passes to wide receivers. And it's the case again today. KJ Osborne and Kayshon Boutte each get a catch for a combined 14 yards. But other than that, Polk has 3. Demario Douglas has 3. And that's it. That's it for the wide receiver position. So you spread the love, but that's for 8 catches to 4 different guys. And only one of them had more than 20 yards. So you're still not doing anything in that department at all, passing the ball. And where was Hunter Henry? He was the only one who could catch passes through the first 2 weeks. He was going off against Seattle. 2 catches for 12 yards in this one. And it stinks that at this point in 2024, you're relying on how many passes is Hunter Henry going to catch for me for this offense to do anything, like anything. And of course, they're going to take away Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry's a nice player. But when he is the only guy you can go to in the passing game, of course other teams are going to take him away. This is a team that went to the Super Bowl last year. And yet twice in the first half, the Patriots are going, or looks like going for it on 4th down, and they're trying to draw them off sides. Like, that's all that you have? The broadcast is laughing at them. Greg Olsen is basically calling them the P word without calling them that. Oh, they're just being real conservative. I'm surprised. They're wimps. 4th and 3, 4th and 5, and they're trying to draw the San Francisco 49ers offside. Who do they think they're playing? That's what I'm wondering. Who do you think you're playing? Niners didn't fall for it. They didn't fall for it all game. They did fall on another Ramondre Stevenson fumble, and I think I have to downgrade Ramondre Stevenson to a new title for this year's Patriots team. What that is coming up next. But if you are looking to make it out to a Patriots game this year, of which I will try, why not? The tickets are going to be cheap. The only place I go for tickets is Gametime and the Gametime app. You know what I love about it is you don't have the runaround that you have with any of the other ticketing websites, okay? When you go in, you can toggle the feature. You can show the all-in pricing right away. That means you're not getting bogged down with all the fees that are going to like double the price afterwards. So you use all-in pricing, and then you get to see the seat views there. So, you're going to be able to tell if you're sitting behind a pole or not. If you're going to Fenway next summer too, that's like especially helpful. you get the panoramic view from your seats before you hit purchase. Plus, you've got the lowest price guarantee. Your Gametime is going to credit you 110% of the difference. And your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Oh, yeah, it's game time. Continuing on with the Locked On Sports Boston Patriots postcast, a reminder to catch Mike Debate with the Locked On Patriots podcast tomorrow morning. He is going to have the full breakdown for you, not just the heated, emotional kind of right after the whistle reaction that I'll bring to you. But that's what we're here for right now after another lopsided Patriots loss, 30-13 to the San Francisco 49ers. And I thought the game plan coming into this game might be just give the ball to Ramondre Stevenson 50 times. But what Ramondre Stevenson is proving to you once again is that you can't trust him with the football. 4 games, now his 4th fumble of the year. And I know he had kind of gotten away from it last year, but you can't not look at this guy's body of work in this now year 4 in the National Football League. You can't look at that and say he doesn't have a fumbling problem. I don't think he's been all that great since the first game anyway, when I was really giving him a ton of flowers. But now he's gone from just not great for you, underwhelming, to liability. Ramondre Stevenson is a liability for the Patriots right now. You can't trust him to hold on to the ball. If this was a Belichick team, he would have sat his butt down. He wouldn't play it again. He'll say, I'll get some Jonas Gray off the practice squad to make this work. Obviously, the Patriots don't have that kind of personnel luxury, but you do have a couple of backs on this roster. You do have Antonio Gibson. You do have JaMychal Hasty. And in a game like this against San Francisco, you're not losing much by going to those guys. And they did give Antonio Gibson some more looks. He and Hasty, I believe, were the 2 backs out there in the drive afterwards, after that Stevenson fumble. But you just, I'll say it every week. Like, you're so bad within the margins or outside of the margins, however you want to look at that, that you can't suck in those little things. You can't be turning the ball over in your own territory. You can't commit a ton of penalties. You can't make coaching mistakes. And I don't know that the Patriots made a ton of mistakes in this game, but you've got a leader on this team in Ramondre Stevenson who's getting paid more money than most of the guys in that locker room, especially at the skill positions. And week after week, he is putting you in bad spots. He's fumbling. He is not ripping off explosive plays in the run game. And the fumbles kill you. I mean, that's how you go from just being looking like a bum to looking like a complete liability on this team. And once again, 13 carries, 43 yards, just 3 yards a carry. I know that's not all his fault. I know how bad this offensive line is, but you knew how bad your personnel was going into the season. You still paid him the big contract. You need the guy to be a difference maker. You need him to help put you in some positions to win games, and he hasn't done that since Seattle, I guess, but really since the Cincinnati game. And he's just killing you. He's just absolutely killing you out there with the ineffectiveness and the fumbles. Like, that was something you had hoped what was behind him. It is definitely not. And that's going to rear its ugly head time and time again, as it has through the first 4 games. Coaching decisions too, I didn't think was great. Now, Jalen Polk had a great catch along the sideline that looked like at the first replay was going to be called a catch. I guess he doesn't get the second foot in there, but 2 questionable coaching decisions on that same play. First off, it's a 4th and 5. You got to go for it. And they're throwing it 40 yards downfield. Why? I don't know. Now, they come close to completing it, obviously, 1 foot down from completing it, but that's not your offense. And if nothing else, you've got a guy like Pop Douglas who can get open very quickly as a hiccup, on a slant route. You've got a guy in Antonio Gibson who can catch it out of the backfield. Instead, on 4th and 5, you're going 40 yards down the field. And the 2 plays leading up to that, Brissett takes a sack on 2nd and 3 when he could have just spiked it into the ground. He had a guy in a crossing route right past the sticks. Just throw it to the ground somewhere in his direction, live to see another day. Instead, he takes a sack. 3rd and 5. They only rush 4. They get another sack. Another 6 sacks allowed by the Patriots in this one, just to finish that note. That's 13 they've given up in the last 2 weeks. But back to the play on 4th and 5, where that's a coaching decision that I don't think is a good one, where they're throwing it 40 yards down the field. And then the Patriots couldn't even challenge the Jalen Polk catch if they wanted to, because in the 3rd quarter, Brandon Ayuk makes an awesome catch that he's going to the ground. He's got a hand under it, under the football in a very low throw. And the Patriots challenge it, where us watching on TV, by the first replay, we can tell this is not going to be a successful challenge. And the replay guys have like 3 or 4 things they can look at, 3 or 4 angles they can look at, and still Jerod Mayo threw the challenge flag. And the broadcast is saying, oh, you just got to do it. You got to do it at this point in the game. And it's like, why? It's the 3rd quarter. You're going to lose that timeout. You're going to lose that timeout. I hate when broadcasters say that. Oh, you just have to. Unless it's under like 3 minutes to go or 4 minutes to go in the 4th quarter, and you're about to go to only booth reviews, then why do you need to do that? Because look how it came back to bite you. You couldn't even challenge that play if you wanted to. And that is another coaching error. I think that these are things that Jerod Mayo has to learn here pretty quickly. And it's costing the Patriots right now. But I thought you saw some decent play designs, or good play designs, actually. You saw some poor ones early, but in the second half, the touchdown pass to Austin Hooper, that's a great play design. I don't know why more teams don't use it. The other one was that 3rd and 13 that was late in the 3rd, and the Patriots got to have it. They don't have a play in their playbook for 13 to 15 yards. They don't, right? Except for this one. It is a quick slant to Pop Douglas, toss back for Ramondre Stevenson. They get the first down, except Tyquan Thornton blocks in the back, and it's called back. And even the broadcast team, Davis and Olsen, are like, oh, no, don't take that away. That's the only exciting thing the Patriots have done all year. And they took it away. And by the way, it was not a great call. This was actually a pretty poorly officiated game for both sides. One of the touchdowns taken off the board for San Francisco in the 2nd quarter was that Kittle holding call. That was a terrible, terrible call. And then a play like that takes a first down away from the Patriots. But it didn't matter. In that 2nd quarter drive, at one point, the 49ers had 3 penalties in a span of 4 plays, 2 of which took touchdowns off the board. They still threw a touchdown to George Kittle, 20-0. And in that case, the ball game is over, is completely over. Doesn't matter that you got a Joey Sly franchise record kick that Fox just really didn't want us to see for some reason. 20-3, who cares? It's done. It's done. And it was a bad stretch for Tyquan Thornton, by the way. Even though that block in the back was questionable, he got completely blown up on a block the game before, or the play before. And despite his size, that was something he was really good at in college, was blocking. And he can't do that at the NFL level. Absolutely cannot do it. And did not have a target today, by the way. Did not have a target today. I don't want to make this a Tyquan Thornton hate show every week, but once again, did not get a target and did not prove anything to why he was kind of listed as wide receiver 1 for this team going into the season. We have got the turntables coming up next, and some not great news on the injury front for the Patriots. It truly goes from bad to worse. That's coming up next on the Locked On Sports Boston Patriots postcast. But today's postcast is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. You, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. That's America's #1 sportsbook, by the way. When you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, you can view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Once again, $200 bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. On the injury front, it was not good coming into this game for the Patriots. Obviously, Vidarian Lowe still out amongst the inactives. You do get one offensive lineman back in City So, although he was late on a couple of plays. In fact, there was one screenplay that the running back was in front of every one of his offensive linemen on a jailbreak screen. That was not the way it was drawn up. And that was mainly on City So. But 3 Patriots get injured in the first half. None of them come back. That is Kyle Duggar, obviously on the defensive side, and 2 offensive linemen, David Andrews and Caden Wallace. So by the second half of that game, you are down 3 of your regular offensive linemen. One has just come back from injury, and you have 4 of your 5 offensive linemen not at full strength for what was already the worst offensive line unit in the National Football League. Whew. And people tomorrow are going to be clamoring for Drake May to get in there. Even if you're one of those people that are like, hey, it's a contact sport, he's got to learn to take hits in the NFL at some point. You're talking about 3 of your starting offensive linemen out for what was already the worst unit in the league. You can't send them out there. You just can't under that. You cannot. Going to wrap things up with the turntables, which is the point in the game where you knew the game was either won or lost. And obviously, in this case for the Patriots, it's a loss. I wanted to cheat on this one a little bit and pick 2 plays from different parts of the football game. Really, it should just be the Fred Warner pick 6. By the way, what an awesome player that guy is. Man, what a player. And he didn't even play the whole second half. He gets banged up in the first half. He probably is going to play on that first drive if the Patriots don't force the turnover and get the ball about 4 or 5 minutes later. But instead, the Niners are just like, we got this one. We got this one. We don't need to put him out there. But the play that it just goes south for the Patriots is after their lone touchdown. Again, that beautiful tight end sneak to Austin Hooper. The score is 20-10. And on the very next play, San Francisco goes for 55 yards, deep post, Deebo Samuel right inside the red zone. The next play, that's the play right there. Because 3 plays after your touchdown and a minute 27 later off the clock, the Niners are in the end zone again, 27-10. Ball game, absolute ball game right there. And by the way, it's on that next drive that they try the hook and ladder, I guess, so to speak, to Ramondre that gets called back. And I said I cheated because I almost picked 2 plays because after the Patriots' next score, the Joey Sly field goal, the Niners go to Brandon Ayuk Juwan Jennings on a 46-yard pass play on their first play of the drive. So you take the last 2 scores for the Patriots, and on the next plays for San Francisco, the very next plays from scrimmage, the Patriots give up 101 yards through the air. When your defense is supposed to be the calling card of your team, you don't always have to be perfect, but you need them to have an answer because you're not going to score a lot on the offensive side. It's going to be really few and far between. And if your defense can't answer and get a stop, then you're SOL. And if your defense can't even hold them to a just tiny explosive play rather than 55 and 46, then you're really SOL. And speaking of explosive plays, my stat of the game was the Antonio Gibson. It was like a 45-yard pitch and catch or so. I think it was 44 in that fourth quarter, which is the 5th play that the Patriots have had this year of more than 20 yards, which brings them within one play of the team that's 31st in that category. Going into this weekend, no other team had less than 6 of plays of 20 plus yards. The Patriots had 4. They are that much worse than the next worst offense in this league. And I'll go back to what I talked about earlier. Is there any other team in the league that is just going to say, we are not going to have a good quarterbacking performance the whole year? We're not going to have a game where our quarterback is going to throw for 300, 350, couple of touchdowns, no picks. I don't think there's another team in the league. Maybe Tennessee. And obviously Miami. They're kind of forced to that now. But even with Skylar Thompson, they might not have had that. But they don't have him right now either. I mean, shoot, the Carolina Panthers had one. Andy Dalton threw for 300 last week. And they lost to Cincinnati, but I don't know. He might have thrown that this week. I don't know. But the Patriots are one of 2, maybe 3 teams in the entire NFL that just know, no matter what the circumstance, they're not going to get a big-time NFL performance from their quarterback. And I don't know if they're going to score 30 at any game this year, but if they do, it's probably going to have a couple of 2 non-offensive touchdowns. But we wait. We'll see one of those teams that doesn't get a good quarterback performance ever next week with the Miami Dolphins. We will have the postcast for you after that one as well. And I think that's safe to say that's going to be a noon game, as it should be, or a 1 o'clock game, noontime game, 1 o'clock on the East Coast. But anyway, that's going to do it for our postcast today. Be sure to get down in the comment section below. Tell me what you thought about this game and if the Patriots can hang on anything going forward. And when do you want to see Drake May? Because I know all of you are thinking it. When do you want to see Drake May? Do you just do it after this debacle and going into a division game where the other team doesn't really have an NFL quarterback either? I think there's an argument towards that. Let me know if that's when you want to see him. Drop that down in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe. Ring that notification bell to get notified every time your favorite Boston sports team is coming on with the postcast. That's us with the Patriots. Red Sox just wrapped up with Steve. You'll also have it for the Celtics as well as they defend their title and then in the coming weeks. Again, tune in tomorrow for Locked On Patriots. Here, Mike debates full breakdown of this game and give you a little bit more of a thought-out response to this loss to San Francisco. But other than that, we will see you next week on the Locked On Sports Boston Patriots postcast after that game with the Miami Dolphins.